Recording of the session. Hello everyone, welcome to the next session on ABAP on HANA training. In the last episode of ABAP on HANA, we started with introduction of SQL script. We saw how SQL script programming can help us to write database intensive logic which sits next to very close to our database inside of SAP HANA. In today's class, we will extend and learn more concepts of SQL script like cursors, example of implicit explicit table types, arrays into the system. So all that we will be looking into the class. So now what we will do next is we will go ahead to the system and we will start writing more SQL script examples to begin with. So first, before we move on to the next part of the session, let's go ahead and talk about what exactly was an exercise in the last session. So let's go and discuss about the exercise of the last session. So let's go back. So there was an exercise which I have given to all of you to be able to work upon, and I have got very good response. So one of the response which I've got, I've also posted the solution of this by Bomik. So you can see here this has been already solved by Bomik. Thank you, Bomik, for providing solution. And I've already uploaded this exercise solution over here. So what exactly he has done here, the main catch I will explain, and remaining things you guys can try that. So my first need was to check if the table already exists, and there is a database table in SAP HANA called tables. Database table has information about the table names which exist inside of SAP HANA. So what Bomik is doing, he is just doing a count star on this table, checking if the table name is my employee tab table, and the schema name to which I'm looking forward is the same schema which I want to search this table for. If he finds a record into this, then he is not doing anything, and if it doesn't find, then he's creating the table. So once the table is created, then the rest of the logic remains as it is. He's going to inject the record, insert these number of records which we expected to it to be inserted in the table over here. So that's the solution of the last exercise. Now probably one quick suggestion over here is better you put this insertion of the record outside this if condition. So no matter what, if the table is there, then it is simply going to insert. If the table is not there, then it is going to create and insert. Yeah, so that's what we always want. We always wanted to insert, guys. So no matter whether table is there or not there, we want to insert number of records in the table. So an additional logic with an if condition which is actually checking if the table there is here, and rest all is just insertion logic, and based on existence or non-existence we have corresponding creation of the table object. Clear everybody? This is what exactly we've been doing. Now let's move on, and what we're going to do next is we will go ahead and talk about next steps of our SQL script. So let's come back to our Eclipse development environment or HANA Studio development environment. I'm just going to close these things. So they are all my HANA access related stuff. Don't panic. I'll just close all of that. And I'll switch back to my HANA system into systems view. And I can see here different schemas which I have in the server. And okay, we already got a solution over here from Nava. I'll put it into the PPT, guys. So those who are facing issue connecting with RDP, please follow this this particular link. I'm putting it in the PPT, and please also uninstall this security patch which has recently affected RDP connection in Windows. So this Windows 10 security patch would have affected you connecting to RDP, restricting you connecting to RDP. Just uninstall this particular security patch, and the solution is already put into this particular link. Thank you so much, Nava, for providing a quick solution to all of us. So please do that. So in case you are unable to connect to remote desktop from Windows 10 laptop, please uninstall security patch. Hopefully all the steps for a person like me who don't understand anything about security patching or anything else would be able to do that with by following this blog from scratch. What all the steps needs to be done, how it should be done, and all that. I hope it is well described into the blog which Nava has posted here. Okay, so I will also try that up after today's class, so that hopefully I should be able to connect to RDP. Yeah, maybe you can just right away try that. I just open this link. Let me just do that so that I can by the time disable this. Okay, yeah, that's exactly the issue we are facing, guys. On March 13th of 2018, there was some patch which was applied. Okay, now how to update server and client? Requires a restart. Set this GPO, uninstall this. Where do we need to do it, Nava? Can you please tell us the shortcut? Okay, we need to go to
You have to
Regedit.
go to that. No. Go to my control panel.
Okay, so do I need to directly type Regedit here? Do you want me to open Windows registry entry like this?
Uh, no. Go to that programs, uninstall programs.
Okay, and
My control panel. Yeah,
okay,
type it control panel. Yeah, and go to the uh, uninstall uninstall program.
I only see programs and features. In that I
In
can
that
find view
case,
install updates, right?
yes,
All the
yes,
updates
correct.
which have recently been updated over here, and search
Yeah,
for install updates and put that patch number. Hopefully this is the guy who is the culprit. Take that up and put it
727. Yeah,
over here. Wow,
727.
wow,
Yes.
that's the one, I guess. Yeah,
Yeah,
I just
yeah,
uninstalled this patch.
and then you will restart.
Oh, restart is required. I won't do a restart today, guys,
Yeah,
because I have also my local installation of SAP HANA Studio and SAP HANA Express Edition, where I can demonstrate all the exercises to you. So I really don't need it for the time being for a restart in my system. So I've started an installation of this patch. However, let it uninstall and let's continue. So hope you guys understood the steps. Very good. Thank you, Nava. Let's proceed now. So
okay.
we were looking into the for loop, while loop and stuff like that. Now today's session we will start with introduction of next thing, exception handling. Any programming language, you know that we have to also take care of exception handling. What is exception handling? First of all, let's talk about what is an exception. Exception is an anticipated error, as simple as that. Something which you anticipate could fail into your program is an exception. Now sometimes exceptions are also unanticipated errors. Okay, unanticipated or anticipated errors which may arise during execution of your programming code. So how do you handle that? So when such errors occurs, end user will see exposed to dumps and technical informations which is not really understandable for end users, right? So you need to give a useful information to your end users so that they can understand what does it mean. Okay, let's go ahead and do the exception handling. So typically in ABAP programming, we all know we use try catch block to do exception handling in ABAP programming. So we put try catch and try. This is what we exactly do, guys. This is how we handle exceptions. So in this piece of try, we put our code which could expect it to throw an exception. In the catch block, we then assign an exception object. We handle catch an exception object, and then between catch and try, we then probably throw a proper error message accordingly. This is what we do in ABAP. Now, anybody who have done work with extensively in exception handling, can you tell me in ABAP or precisely in OOPS ABAP, what is the exception class, the super class of all the exceptions in OOPS ABAP? Anybody? What is the name of the super class? Perfect answer. Very good, Ajit. It's CX underscore root. This is the super class of all the exceptions. of all exceptions in ABAP. So what happens whenever you want to design your own exception classes, you inherit from cx underscore root or sometimes cx underscore static root or static error class. Yeah, this is what you typically use, guys, to inherit from. And these are all the super classes of any exception class you have in your project or in ABAP used for exception handling in OOPS ABAP programming. Similarly, in SQL script, there is an exception class called SQL exception. This is the super class of any kind of exception comes into SQL. So this is generic exception class in SQL script. However, you can also have your own exception handling done based on custom exceptions. So you can define custom exceptions, and for those custom exceptions, you have to give exception code. For custom exceptions, we need to define an exception code which has to be greater, which has to be a number, and that number should be greater than 10,000 in SQL script. Okay, this is how we have to handle the exception. So the syntax to handle exception is declare exit handler for an exception class name. This is what we exactly do, guys. So that's a syntax to handle exceptions in SAP SQL scripting actually. Okay, clear everybody? So this is how. Now if you have any exception, you don't know what is the exception class, you can always put this generic exception class called SQL exceptions. This is like generically handling any exception which you may think may arise. You don't have to put explicitly the error code, you just have to put generic exception class and it will be caught. Now let me just show you an example. So in yesterday's class we had created a procedure in Anubhav schema, and in this procedure, if you do remember, we have um, calculate or maybe inserting some records. Let me just open that up, the procedure where we are inserting some records in the DB table. I don't exactly remember the procedure name which we had created. Okay, by the time we start later. Okay, so we had created one procedure. I don't remember the name. I think I dropped it at the end. Now let me recreate quickly. I just go back and just first set the schema. Setting the schema, guys. And now let me create the procedure once again, which will insert the records in the DB table. So I'm just going to go and refer to the procedure which you guys have created for me. I go to our training blog once again. And in our training blog, we already have a solution which was provided today. Just download that and just regenerate this procedure. So let's come here, copy that code, bring back that piece of code over here, create procedure, and I'll say create insert employee, and it receives an integer, and I'm going to work with my Anubhav schema all the time. So just hard code the schema over here. So this table will be created now in Anubhav schema, and the records will also be inserted every time we call inside of the schema. So this code is no more required over here. If this is 0, then do nothing. It has found the table. Let me just put that code. If this is 0, which means table is not there, create the table. Else just, so by this time table is created, and just this one is also not required. Okay, looks cool. So that's what now insert the records in my EMP table. I just execute this. This would, oops, this would create a procedure for us. Execute it. Line number 12, do we have a problem? Oh, sorry. Yeah, I have to put my schema name. Okay, great. Let's generate this procedure, execute it. It got generated, and let's call this procedure and see what happens. So I'm just going to launch another SQL console, and I say call my procedure name. I'm going to pass 10 and now execute. So when I execute, first time it runs pretty well. It has inserted the record. Now let me just bring it back to the old situation where we don't have this if condition. We are always trying to create the table. We are always trying to insert the record. Let me bring it back to this situation now. So you would realize that this was the situation yesterday, guys, when we were trying to insert the record. However, the table itself was not existing. Let me just alter, and now let me call once again. So this was leading to an error, and that error was that the table is duplicate, and it can, now this is something which is a technical information which your user may not understand. Okay, so this is pretty technical that user don't understand what is a schema, what is a duplicate table name, or something else more relevant for developer. You can also see, guys, the SQL error code is 288. Okay, it's exactly telling you the SQL error code. So every type of error in database has a unique error code, like 288 when you try to create an object which already exists with the same name. That kind of errors comes as 288 in the system. However, let's say you're trying to insert a record and for which there is already a primary key exists, that's a different error code, but you don't know what error code it could be. Yeah, sometimes you know exactly because while working you know that okay, this is an error code for this type of situation, but sometimes you don't know. So now you got to handle this situation, handle the error handling. How can you do that? So let's come back, and I'm going to define an exception handler and give a user friendly message. So I'll say declare exit handler for SQL exception. Okay, declare exit handler for SQL exception. So what was the code? It's declare exit space handler. That's correct. Oops, let me just go back. Yeah, declare exit space handler for SQL exception, and now I can properly throw an error message which is user friendly, guys. That's what I can exactly do it. So I can go back and tell the system that I don't want to throw this error, rather than I want to show user select, and I say an internal error occurred while creating table in SAP from dummy. This is your error handling, guys. So now user is not going to see the error message which the system was throwing. Rather, user would get exact error of what you want to show to the user. So you, in this kind of situation, you want the user to contact you because you are the owner of the procedure, and then you're supposed to really work upon it. So internal error occurred while creating table in SAP, contact support. Yeah, I can now execute this and alter the procedure, and let's come back and re-execute the procedure and watch out below now. So if you say execute once again, now I see it got executed, and the output says an internal error occurred while creating table contact SAP support. Clear, everybody? So this is one way of handling exception in user friendly manner, exception handling in SQL script. Let me take this example. So same example like yesterday where the table was getting created and the duplicate name is not allowed. The same way you can also handle it with the exact SQL code. So there was an exact SQL code which was coming up. So let me first put this code here. Exception handling example with generic exception class. And then next one was exception handling example with exact SQL error code. So now you can say for SQL error code space 288. Now you're exactly telling if it is this error code, then do this. Then probably other exceptions, like when you're trying to insert a record with same primary key or something else for that matter, would no more be supported in that case. Okay, so just be careful that it will now only and only support you for 288, nothing else. Okay, so you exactly specify now the error code which we saw earlier in the last execution. When there was no exception handling, this was the error code system was throwing me for creating a duplicate table. So that's another way of handling exception. So I would recommend you to go with SQL exception. It's a generic exception class for any kind of exception, and then throw a generic message to the user. However, there's a specific error handling you got to do. You can do it like this. And now here we can also write another declare exit handler for SQL exception. And I can say select, I don't know, contact dev team from dummy. Okay, that's what you can do. Let's alter, execute, and now let's come back and try to call this guy again. So now you again get the same error. An internal error occurred while creating table in SAP contact support. Now watch out, I comment out this code and now alter the procedure. So now it's try to insert the record. Now you guys already know we inserted earlier the record with the Z as a value into the system as 1 2 3 4 and so on. Now you try to insert the record again with 1 2 3 4 primary key, it would give another error, and that's then be captured by this SQL exception, not by 288. Only related to duplicate object creation is captured by 288. That's a specific code, and this one now will capture the primary key violation error, and then it will prompt me, I don't know, contact dev team. Let's execute, come back once again, execute. The table is already there, and just going to violate primary key constraint, and now you should see an error, I don't know, contact dev team. You see guys, so based on the kind of errors, the kind of exception handling you can do. However, if you want to do generic exception handling, probably you can go with SQL exception class. If you exactly know what is the error and what is the behavior you want, you can go with SQL error code 288 or the code number. Now this is a very good example to actually understand both of these things with exact error code or with generic exception. So let me just write down this in the PPT. So exception handling with exact error code and SQL exception. Yeah, that's what exactly we have done. Now let's come back, and what I want to now do is probably want to show you some business exceptions. So many times in ABAP program also, if you see as a developer that something should not, you know, exceed a value or something should not be done in this way. Let's say user is being given a screen, beautiful screen, where user input some data, and now you want to do validation of that data in your code. And if something goes bad, then you want to terminate the program execution there itself, and that's your custom exception guys. So let's create a procedure quickly to insert a record in our employee table. Yeah, so I'm going to create that. So let's say once again create procedure, and I'm going to insert a record in employee table. So I'm just going to use int employee ID. I'm going to ask employee name, MP name as varchar of 80, and I'm going to use again an importing value called salary as integer. Yeah, that's what exactly I've done. Now in this we are say create insert employee, I can say create emp record procedure I'm creating. Okay, and now what I'll do is I'll just write some basic code to insert data into our table. So it's very simple code. So I want to insert a record in our employee table now, as simple as that. Now what, anybody, which schema this emp table procedure will look forward into? What do you think, which schema your procedure will search this table into? There are lots of schemas in your HANA system. which schema your procedure is going to search. Why Anubhav schema it will search? Why? Because we have given here the default schema is Anubhav. Clear everybody? That's the purpose of giving default schema, because I mentioned that any table referred, any DDIC object referred inside this procedure are typically belonging to Anubhav schema. That's a very important important point here, to refer a schema to notify the database when it does the execution of procedure that my objects which I am referring here in my SQL code are part of this particular schema. So if you still want to refer another schema database table, you can actually use SAP ABAP one, like for ABAP one schema. If you want to refer, you can do that cross schema access. It's possible, but mention that your schema name should also come before the table name, before the database object name. That's one important point. Just wanted to make it here to make it more clear. However, this was clear in yesterday's class itself. However, now it's more clear for all of you. So we want to insert this, and this time I'm going to pass these values over here as employee ID. I'm just going to pass my employee name, and I'm going to pass my salary. So let's now shoot this up and create this procedure. Got created. Let's call this procedure now. So I'm just going to come and call this procedure and pass employee ID, let's say 99, comma, I want to pass employee name as Jessica, and then I can say employee salary as 10,000. Okay, and let's right after that I can say select star from EMP table from my Anubhav schema. I hope that's EMP table. Yeah, it's EMP tab, guys. So EMP tab table. Okay, so now we are going to insert and fire a SQL immediately to see if record is inserted. Execute it, and voila, you see 99 Jessica 10,000 is being inserted. Now imagine in my company I have I am going to write now something in my company where I want to make sure the employee salary can never exceed 1 million. Okay, it should never ever exceed. And right now if you try to do so, let's say I create a record number 98 and I say I have a user Anubhav and an employee Anubhav, and his salary I want to maliciously set as 10 million. Now what will happen? What will happen, guys? Will it stop me doing that? Of course not. It will simply take it as a data. It processes this data and does insertion of my record in the DB table, and you see, wow, I can set my salary whatever I wish. If I have access to my procedure, it's possible. So somebody maliciously got an access to your procedure and they try to update the salary or insert some record. You can restrict that's completely possible. Rather than allowing user to do mistake and then going back and correcting that mistake, it's better that you implement proper mechanisms in your code to prevent that mistake to happen and prompt user with a proper message. Okay, that's a very, very important step, guys, and that's where the concept of custom exceptions comes into picture. You can define a custom exception. And how do you define custom exceptions in SQL script? It's very, very easy. There's a statement called signal exception. Okay, signal, and then you can put signal space SQL error code, and then you can define any number. This number here, whatever you're gonna put, this number has to be greater than equals to 10,000. Okay, that indicates it's a custom exception. You can also set message text optionally together with that, any message which you wish to. For user friendly message in exception you can do, and that's what exactly you do. This is like throw statement in ABAP. How to throw exception. Now this is equivalent to raise clause in ABAP, right? You might have used raised clause in ABAP, guys. Raise exception. Yeah, that's what exactly this is equivalent to, creating a custom exception on fly. And catching of the exception happens same way, the way I showed you just now for standard one. We can catch the exception and then we can print the error message to the user friendly manner. Okay, so let's do that. So now I go back to our procedure and say alter procedure, and then I'm going to come here and I'm going to put first if condition. Very, very simple code, very, very simple. Just an if condition. I can say salary if it is greater than 1 million, then I'm going to raise an exception. So I can say signal SQL error code, and I can say 10,001. Okay, 10,001, and then I can say end if. And now I can write handling of that exception on the top. So I can say declare exit handler for SQL error code 10,001, and I can say select error message from dummy. Now remember guys, this is a standard variable. Error message is a standard SQL variable. You cannot access it right away. You have to use double quote before this. Okay, you have to use double quote before this. I think it's double quote SQL error message. That's what you have to refer. You can also print the SQL error code, so you can use double quote again, SQL error code. I hope this is correct. Let's try that. However, so now what I'm doing when this exception is raised, whatever message user is setting, whatever you as a programmer have set a message, that will be printed on the UI. So now I can say set error. We can set the error message whatever we wish to. So message text actually, and I can say salary cannot exceed 1 million. Okay, and I think it's SQL message text, not error message, or maybe I think it could be this SQL error message. We'll get to know. Let's alter the procedure. I'm going to execute this statement, and you see there's a problem here near line number 7. What's the problems? Alter procedure this line number 7, declare exit handler for SQL error code. Okay, declare statement, sorry. Yeah, execute, got created guys. Let's come back, and now I will again try to insert a record with employee name, let's say Robert, and pass the 10 million as a salary with 97 as the error code, as a primary key for the record, and execute. And now you see there's an error which is coming up which says user defined error. Anubhav, this line number 11, salary cannot exceed 1 million. Can you see guys, salary cannot exceed 1 million? That's the error system is printing on the UI. Salary cannot exceed 1 million, and you see error code for this is 10,001 here. You see the error code 10,001. So that's how you handled now the exception and printing a proper message to the user that this is what they've done wrong. If you don't handle this exception, this will directly be thrown on the UI on your console. Here it will turn red. The execution will turn red. Let me just show you. I still do that, but I don't catch the exception. You're just throwing it. Okay, you're throwing it here, but you're not catching. As a result of execution, what you see now, I execute it, and you see the message will pop up on at the bottom here in the code. You see here 10,001 user defined exception, Anubhav, this line number 11 at position number this, and I think I can't do an enter here to showcase you. I can scroll right, and you see salary cannot exceed 1 million. That's exactly the message which we had set. That's how you do custom exception handling in SQL script. Very easy. Just try to relate it with above try, catch, and raise statement, how you can handle exceptions in SQL script. Clear everybody? How to raise an exception, how to catch the exception, and how to then throw the exception error message. So remember, these are system variables for SQL errors. Okay, these are system variables for SQL errors you can use in your query to print the proper results, to print the proper error code as well as error statement to the end user. Now I'm going to take this code and put it in our PPT. Hope you guys will be able to adapt it according to your need wherever you need something. Okay, that's exception handling in your SQL script. Now let's move on to the next topic, and next topic is about handling the table types. So how this was one most anticipated topic which many of you were looking forward for, how to create and work with multi-dimension structures like tables. So if I want to work with table, how can I do that, Anubhav, in my project? So just like we have such a powerful concept in ABAP like internal table. We have concept of table type here inside SQL script. So what is table type? Table type is a template of a table structure which can hold data, or data means multiple records at runtime, like internal table. Okay, now there are multiple ways you can create a table inside SQL script. The very first technique I will show you is implicit creation. Tables. Okay, second I will show you explicit creation. Within the explicit creation, if you talk about, there is something called, I would say 2.1. There's something called creating on fly, and next comes is 2.2, which is creating using table type syntax. Okay, these are all the three ways by which you can work with internal table like concept in SQL script. Let's go and explore that. First one, implicit table creation. So my requirement, my use case. So let's look at the first example. So my use case here is to print all the purchase orders. Okay, let me just move it little left. Okay, so what is the use case here? The use case here is get all the products from database table where product belongs to veg pizza category. Okay, the product category is veg pizza. Okay, and now get the total of all the sales gross for those products. That's our use case. The tables which you will involve here in this use case are, first is snwd underscore pd table. Okay, in this you are going to fire a select query by reading all the products where category is equals to veg pizza. Now remember guys, this data is not available for you in ABAP system, in your SAP HANA system access which I given to all of you. It's only exclusively available in my system. Now those who want to do this exercise, you can take category as, let's say, softwares. For EPM data model, you can take category as softwares or laptops or anything else for that matter. In your system, in your ABAP on HANA system, which the remote desktop you guys have, you will not have this category of products. They are there in my system, that's why I'm taking. However, for your example, your need, you can take your own categories in account. I hope you understand that. And then once it's done, then another table involved here is snwd sales order table, where you are now going to get a sum of gross amount you're gonna create a sum of gross amount, and then you are going to do that only where product is into the previously selected list. Okay, so that's what our use case. Clear everybody? So let's go ahead and first look at the data in the table in my system. So I will come back to my SQL console, and in this particular SQL console I'm going to first set my schema. And now I'm going to show you the records in the product table. PD table, execute, and show you that records in my table. Oops, there is no table snwd underscore pd. Why? oops, sorry guys, I have to set my schema is SAP above 1. वही तो करना है because it's part of SNWDPD table is in SAP above 1 schema, right? It's not in Anubhav schema. So let me do that. So I do that, and you see now there are lots of products in the system, and you see the category of product. Okay, now you see category of product, you will find a category of product called veg pizzas. So let me come down, and you see guys, these are all the different products with their product IDs here, which belongs to veg pizzas. These are a variety of products. My first need is to fetch all these products which are veg pizzas, their product IDs, basically their GUIDs, and then go to and hit another query on my order table, SNWD sales order table, where I'm going to get now the sales orders for these products. But the product information for the sales order is not available in this table. It's there in items table. And now you see this items table has these many records. So currently guys, I don't have many orders here right now in my schema, in my system. So I'm going to generate some sales orders in my system. So I've written a SQL script procedure to randomly generate so many sales orders in my system guys, that I have done it already in my system. Okay, so let me just quickly call that procedure to generate a massive number of sales orders in the system quickly. I'll do that in a second. Let me just take that procedure from here. So I've coded a procedure called generate sales order data. This procedure I've created guys, which is going to generate massive number of sales orders in my system. So ABAP schema, just go there, data folder. I'm just gonna paste this guy. Just go to this folder and just say schema name here is SAP ABAP 1 schema. And then I'm just going to say ABAP schema, and then say folder data, generate sales orders. This is a procedure which I've created, and now here everywhere wherever this is PIP data, I just got to change that. So this is going to change to ABAP schema dot data folder. Yeah, that's what was important for me to do so. And now there's a sequence also which I had created, got to bring that up as well. So let me just bring that my sales order number sequence in my data folder, and wherever this is BIP, this changes to SAP ABAP 1. So don't worry right now about this. I'm going to share this code with all of you. You also can try that up. But right now, just think that I have created some module which generates massive number of sales orders for me. Okay, that's what it does. So SAP above 1, there's a sequence as well which generates random number of sales orders for me. So I'm just using that schema and just going to activate first my sequence, and yeah, and then I just activate my procedure as well. Hopefully should get, no, it's not getting activated. There's a problem. Get customers. Okay, I think there is a function which it expects. Yes, here it is, get customer ID. There's a functions which it expects. I need to bring that function also over there. So get customer IDs. This is one function which it is expecting me in the system. I'm just going to get that. So don't panic right now. It's just some SQL script code which I've written guys to make it simplified for us to be able to generate some random data so that we can practice our exercises. That's the only purpose here. There is no other purpose. So now this is this dot data folder, schema name is SAP above 1. You guys don't try that in your system. I'm just doing it over here, and yeah, that looks nice. And just copy these gentlemen and activate this function as well. Okay, Just give me a second. I am having trouble here finding my table. So SAP ABAP one here, this ABAP schema. One question here is ABAP schema. What is it? It's actually nothing but your package name where I'm storing these objects. This is basically a native HANA object, guys, over here. So native HANA objects, everything is created inside a package, so it can be transported to another system. So don't right now focus on this part at the moment. I'm just doing this for generating some data in my system so that I should be able to demonstrate you the exercise, the use case which I wanted. Okay, however, I'll also download this complete project SAP ABAP schema to you. You guys can upload in your HANA system and test it. Okay, but don't upload it in our HANA Studio for our ABAP server. Otherwise, you all going to disrupt SAP ABAP one schema. Don't do that, please. Okay, let me just come here. Dot data dot BIP HDB business partners. Why it's giving me an error? ABAP schema dot data customer ID. Let me just activate this. It's giving me an error. Dependent object not found. SAP ABAP one ABAP schema dot data colon BAP. Let me just check my table name in ABAP one schema, what exactly it has been kept. So it's business partners. Yeah, this is the one. Just drag and drop that. I don't know what's the issue with it. Hopefully it should work now. Yeah, it got activated finally. And let me just come as well here and call my function. So don't pay attention at the moment on this part. What am I doing here is just to generate some random data, guys. Just to generate some random data. That's what I'm exactly doing. In fact, this is pretty tricky. Yes, here it is. So let's put it over here, this gentleman. And there's one more gentleman here to calculate tax. So actually I can simply calculate the tax by making a multiplication of 10% to this. So whatever is the price, just come multiply by 10 divide by 100. I can do that to calculate the tax. Let me just activate this procedure. Products table it's not able to find. Yeah, this guy. Let me just check the products table. It's here. So what's the difference? Why it's not accepting my products table? Let me check. ABAP schema dot data colon. Okay. It's BIP dot this. Okay, fine, guys. I understood. So this one should be replaced with BIP. And this guy should be replaced with okay. Oops. Yeah, now should be good. We should be good, guys. Now we should be good. So let's come here. Okay, let me just activate this procedure now. We will be good to get going. Unable to determine schema mapping. What schema mapping it's unable to determine? SAP ABAP one. ABAP schema dot data. Order number. I'm not sure why it's not working. Ideally it should generate random data. So let me generate quickly. Just give me 2 minutes. I'll just activate this. So this I have changed the schema name properly with the old procedure which I copied, and now it's all looks nice. Let me call this procedure and generate some random sales orders in my system. So let's come back and check what's the current count of sales orders in our sales order table. So select star from SNWD underscore sales order table, and you can see right now there are only 3 sales orders in the system. I'm going to call and shoot up our procedure which we just created in the system, and I'm going to generate, let's say, 5,000 sales orders, and each sales order have to have 3 line items inside. Just say F8 and processing starts. System is now going to generate this. Okay, line number 88, it has got an invalid number. I don't know why. Maybe I'll just try to generate 1000 orders. No. Line number 88, there is a problem in our procedure. Let's come down. Invalid number, it is saying. So line number 88, insert here business partner order, ABAP schema.data order number. Next val. So there is something called a sequence we had put here. And yes, I understood the problem. It's the order table. The order table name is not correct here. So let me just go back, correct the order table name. Okay, let me just activate this sequence. Now let me call this procedure one more time. It's giving me an error exception, invalid number SAP above 1. There is some problem in line number 88 when it's trying to insert record in our table. Now guys, it's having some problem. What is the problem? Invalid number it is saying. I don't know which number it is invalid. While doing some calculation could be an issue. What is the tax calculation we have put? LV price multiplied by 10%. That's a tax amount. Okay, let me call this. It's not allowing me. Come on. Okay, let's debug this quickly. So I come back and line number 88, I will directly go and put a breakpoint, guys. So we are trying to create a sales order here in the database table, and it's giving some error here in this particular piece of code. Let me just debug this procedure quickly into the system and see what could have gone wrong. So let me open this procedure. You can see this procedure is available here for us to debug. I'm going to set a breakpoint on line number 88, and I'm going to define and debug configuration for this like we did yesterday. This procedure I've created, guys, before our class to be able to demonstrate you insertion of some record using procedure, how powerful a procedure can be. This is what was the whole purpose. So now I choose catalog schema, browse. I'm going to browse my schema SAP above 1 where I've created a procedure to debug this procedure now. So let me go to procedures, above schema procedure, go to input parameters, and I'm going to pass number of sales order I want to generate, probably 10, and each sales order I want to insert 2 records per item. Say apply, say debug, and now we should be switch to debug perspective, and you see it is hitting the breakpoint. Let's check out the values which are going in. LV order ID, let's see what is the order ID going. So it's generated some random GUID here. You see LV order ID is proper, and this sequence I'm not sure whether this will be proper. LV employee, does it have also the data properly? LV employee, yes, it has some GUID. LV customer, does it have the proper data? LV customer, let's check that. LV customer, yes, it also has some GUID. INR, gross amount, price, yes, gross amount is there, price is there, tax is there, and then we have CDP, that's hard coded data, now is also correct. So I think it's a problem with our sequence, guys. Here this guy is a culprit. What I'm going to do is maybe I'm just going to replace this sequence with something else, and we're going to regenerate. So I just press F8 and you see this same error, invalid number C. So it's a problem with invalid number exception, invalid number C. There is some problem with this guy C. I'm going to remove that C. So let's go back to HANA development perspective, and I'm going to remove this C. Let me try that. Just remove the C. Or could be a problem with order of the table, guys. Let me open the table structure first. Right click, open the definition of the table, and compare it hand to hand. Are the orders correct in our table definition? So let me just drag drop it here on this side and just see if the order is correct. So first is a node key, correct. Second is sales order ID employee, created by created on. Then we have employee ID once again. Then next changed on should be this now. That should go here actually. That's the problem. So let's move this up. Am I not in edit mode? I should be able to edit this. No, I'm not. Let me just check why it's not allowing me to edit the procedure. It should allow ideally. Okay, now it should allow. Cut this guy. So first is created by, which is now, then changed on, created on, then we have employee ID changed by, changed on, then we have customer who bought this customer. After that we have currency code, gross total, this CDP, which is the status, method, and then note ID. Perfect. It should work fine now, and I'm going to save this procedure and let's activate. It should work fine now, guys. So there's some problem in our procedure, my procedure which I created to generate random data. Let's go back and call this guy one more time over here, and I'm going to generate like 1500 records with 3 line items. Execute it, and now you see there's an error with column payment method. Value generated automatically, column payment method. It's not accepting. Okay, I got it. Let me just come back and try that once again. Compare it with table structure, payment method. So payment method, tax amount के बाद में we have 3 fields, CDP, and payment method should be C. This is also a problem. The order of the column is creating a problem, guys. I just update this, and I hope so. This should now generate the necessary sales orders for us. We are very close to generating random sales orders in the system now, and I've reactivated. And let's try one more last time. Executed. It's now running in, guys. Going to generate random sales orders in my database tables. Watch out. In a minute, you should see the execution will get over. It will generate 1500 sales orders with each sales order having 3 line items in the items table for our procedure to be created. So you see now below it's running in 1500 random sales orders with each sales order having 3 line items. It is going to generate in our database tables, and voila, it got over in 31 seconds. Let's go back to orders table, and earlier when we were calling it, we were getting very few records. Let me just call our orders table in another SQL console. I'll open it up, and by the time I'll also say again generate 1500 more for me, and I'll say select star from snwd underscore so, and let me just now go and set schema sap abap1, execute, and voila, you see, guys, so many sales orders in the system now. Now it's perfect data set in my system right now to generate or write my business logic to demonstrate you some features. So this is demo data I've generated by writing a SQL procedure. I will share this code with you. Those who are working with their own HANA system, own database table, stuff like that, you can use my procedure and generate random data in your sales order tables with this logic. You can watch through this amazing piece I've coded, generates random sales order in the system. A perfect example for SQL script. You see, again, I execute. I think the another one are created. Let's count how many of them are there. So now it's perfect set of data generated for me. In my example, there are 3003 sales orders in the system now. We can use it for our examples now. Let's go ahead and use an example now. Create a new procedure. So I say create procedure, and I'm going to say get order gross by cat. I'm going to get order gross by category. I'm going to pass the category as an input, and I'm going to say output is gross amount as big int. Okay, that's my procedure, guys. The schema to which it will work this time is abap1 schema. Now you imagine this is our use case Forget about what I just showed you. I just generated a procedure to generate random data for my application to work. This is our use case. Come back to use case. Okay. So first we need to get all the products which belongs to a certain category. So I'm making it as an input parameter here, category. Okay. So let's do that. I'm going to create an implicit table. Watch out here how you create an implicit table in SAP or in SQL script. So LT products, this is an implicit table. Clear everybody? This is an implicit table. I showed you this type of logic. It's also called as declarative logic. Yesterday's session I've told you this will automatically create an internal table just like inline data declaration. Select product ID, or you can just say node key. Get me all the node key which is the primary key of this table from snwd underscore pd table, where category is equals to whatever category you are passing in. So you can say category input parameter over here. So that differentiate between the category of DB and category of input parameter. How it's a good practice also you use IM underscore category. That's a good practice to use, guys, so that you will know that what exactly you are looking forward for. Okay, once it is done, now you have all your data into this LT products, all your product IDs in this. You can use another query, use this data which you produce in another query, pass output of first to now second one, and you can now generate LT, or you can finally generate select sum of gross amount of all the sales orders where, okay, sales order item table you got to use, where product ID is equals to all the product IDs which you generated in the previous one, LT products. And now you see, guys, whenever you are using a variable, you have to use smiley symbol. This is what I'm doing. I'm using output of first query to the input of second query with an in operator. Get me all the item gross, total of all the item gross, where product ID is into this first selection. Clear everybody? This is our use case. We have created an example of implicit table. Let's execute it. There's a problem in LT products here. What is the problem? I think we should avoid, no. Okay, there is no column called product ID in items table. So let me just check what are all the columns we do have in items table. Start from and we have something called product GUID.node key. This is the column name, guys, product GUID.node key. So I have to just say here product GUID I have to put. So you in ABAP one schema, guys, those who are using our server, you have to directly put product GUID. In my table structure, actually it's created like this. So I'm using this column name. That's it. For you, whatever is the column name in your items table, you just put that, execute it. Again, there's a problem. So select sum of this. I forgot to put input parameter of this gross calculation into my gross output variable. That's what I'm doing now. Okay, execute. Still there's a problem. What's the issue? Let's check. Can anybody guess what's the issue? It's not accepting this guy. LT products. Why? There's nothing to do with order by. There's nothing to do with order by. Create procedure, this, input category, output gross, language SQL script, default schema, begin this, LT products. I want to use LT products over here, where all these products are in LT products. Oh, I got it. I got it. Actually, you have to do something else. You have to also do select node key from LT products. You have to specify which column of LT products you want. It could so happen that user might have done a star here, right? How will system know which column of LT product should be compared with the node key of product GUID in the items table, right? So everything, every single syntax here in SQL script evolves around SQL statement. So you have to select node key from products, and that's what should go into in statement for comparison, guys. That's important statement which I missed in. And now if I say F8, voila, it got created successfully. This is how you work with implicit tables. And now I can just come here and call my procedure. And now watch out. Tell me, guys, any category. Please tell me the category value. What do you want to see for? How many? Which product you want to see gross for? Anybody? Veg pizza. Execute. Invalid name. It's saying. Okay, schema I have not set. It's part of SAP ABAP schema, so I have to set the schema. I think it's not created in SAP ABAP schema. It's created, I think it's, no. This data is correct. Don't doubt about it. I think it's not created. This procedure is not created in SAP ABAP schema. I think that's the problem. Let me just quickly check my SAP ABAP schema procedures, refresh. You see, our procedure is not created in SAP ABAP 1 schema. It's created in Anubhav schema actually, because Anubhav was the schema. You see, it's created here, guys. Get order by cat. But are we then hitting the tables of, no, you see, yeah, we are hitting the table of SAP ABAP. So procedure is created in one schema, but we are hitting the table of another schema. So we set the schema as Anubhav, and now call this. And why it's not able to make a call? It's giving an error now. Invalid number, not a valid string, veg pizzas. Okay, I have to pass double quote, maybe this value in double quote. Come back. IM category. See, guys, my mistake. Category I had put as integer. Do you see my mistake? What I've done while creating procedure? That's why it's saying invalid number. This should be a character. Let's alter the procedure. Nobody stopped me when I'm doing mistakes. None of you stopped me, guys, when I was doing this mistake. And you see, guys, it's giving me an error. You can't change the parameter types in alter statement. Do you remember this is what I taught you yesterday? That you can't change the parameter types, number of parameters in a procedure using alter statement. Now what will you do? Anybody? What will you do? Anybody? What is the solution? Drop the procedure first. Procedure name and recreate it. As simple as that. Done. The category type would have got changed. Let's come back and shoot up. Execute. Once again, some problem. Invalid column name line 125. Why it's giving this multiple errors? I think it should be in single quote. Execute. Voila. This is the gross amount of total sales for veg pizzas in my company. See, 335,045. That's a gross amount of total veg pizzas. Do you want to try out for another products? Let's try for beverages. And you see it's 14,079. It's a different number. So it's so dynamic procedure. Based on the input category, it's calculating the gross for you. Clear, everybody? What did we do in this procedure? Is this example clear? Forget about generation of massive data in sales order. That's a different story altogether. Is this example clear to all of you? Is this use case clear to all of you using SQL script? Not clear? Any doubt? Feel free to ask your questions. Please ask your questions. This time open for questions. Please ask your questions if you are not clear with this small example. What is happening? Schema setting, can you please elaborate? So schema setting we discussed in yesterday's class. There are two schemas here. One is the schema in which the procedure is created, and one is the schema for which you're writing this procedure for. So here this default schema means all the tables inside this procedure which you are looking are part of SAP ABAP 1 schema. So any table which I'm writing here, system assume that these tables exist in the schema which is written over here. The another schema is session schema, which decides which schema the procedure is created, which is currently set as Anubhav schema. So that procedure is created actually in get. This procedure is created in my Anubhav schema. You can see get order by gross cat. You see, clear? So set schema statement to set the schema to decide which procedure to be created in which schema. And then here in the procedure declaration, this schema means all the tables inside the procedure are going to be searched into this schema. Clear everybody? Both the schema concept over here. Can we not use two schemas in one procedure? You can, provided you can use hundreds of them actually. So mention before your table name your schema name. If you think that sales order item table you want to pick it from a different schema, not from SAP ABAP one schema, you can put your schema name over here. Okay. Dummy is actually just a dummy table inside every database to read some data. If you want to just print, let's say, hard coded value on the UI in database, everything in database evolves around SQL statement. SQL script is all about SQL extension. So if you want to print Anubhav on the screen, how do you do it? How do you print Anubhav on screen, guys? How do you print Anubhav on screen? How do you do that in SQL? How do you print Anubhav on screen? Anybody? How do you print in SQL Anubhav on screen? Right? Very valid question. So you can say select Anubhav from dummy. That's how you can print Anubhav on screen in database. Database don't understand anything else other than SQL. Okay? It understand SQL, select statements only. If you want to print 2 plus 2, how can you do that? 2 plus 2, execute, you see 4. That's a dummy table which is just to print some output like printf function in C programming. Similarly, it's a dummy table because you have to give some table name in SQL statement to do something, and that's where we use dummy. If you don't have any other table to be doing this operation, you can use dummy in database. What is the difference between schema and a package? Schema holds all the runtime objects, package holds all the design time object definitions. That's what I told you in my previous chapter. Please look at previous video, Manoj. I have already explained the difference between schema and packages. I think you've not watched the previous videos yet. Please look at previous videos. Your question will be answered. Whenever we put default schema, that's a schema in which our procedure is created, correct? Absolutely yes. When you set a schema for your session, in that schema, the session schema, your procedure will be created. Here in the SQL console, when I was creating this procedure, before that I already done set schema Anubhav. That's why this procedure is created inside Anubhav schema, but it is accessing the table of SAP ABAP 1 schema, which has orders and products table. Clear this example? This is implicit table type declaration in SQL script. Okay, guys. Next example. How do you create explicit table types? How do you create it? And when do we need it actually? So sometimes there is a need you want to do it explicitly. How do you do that? So let's come back and see how can we achieve that. So now my use case is different. Okay. For this one, the use case is different. What I want to do now, I don't want to return the gross. So in this use case, second use case I'm talking now, return all the product item information where the product category items are used. Clear everybody this use case? Now you should not return gross. However, you need to return the product items, sales order items out of the procedure. समझे कि नहीं समझे? You have to return line item information of sales order. Can you return line item information of sales order by this big integer? Can you return line item information with this integer? Imagine if I ask you in ABAP function module, can a function module return in an output variable integer type an internal table? Can a function module return an output of an internal table in an integer variable in ABAP? No, na? This is an integer variable here. This cannot return sales order line items, correct? This cannot return sales order line items. So what do you need? What do you need as a return? Anybody? What do you think you need as a return, guys? Come on, what do you think you need as a return? You need a table. Perfect, that's what you need. Let's create another one. So get order items by category, not gross. I'm creating another procedure, get items by category, where I pass same input category, but this time the output is going to be an internal table. Watch out carefully, guys. This is explicit table creation, and I can say output order items, and what you want to return is a table. Watch out, table. And in this, now you specify your columns which you want to return from items table. Okay, let me quickly see my items table columns. So I can say come here and just so I have node key, I have parent key. I don't want that. I just want item position. I want size, quantity, unit, gross amount, net amount, currency. Or maybe I just want size. I want item position, size, quantity, quantity unit, gross amount, and currency. I want these 6 columns out. So let's add those 6 columns over here. You want to know those six column types? You want to know those six column types? Go to your database table in your schema. So go to your order item table and say open content, sorry, open structure, open definition, and now you know the types. So I want sales order item position, it's n varchar 3. So just come back over here and put your first column as, just drag and drop on the right side. That's the Eclipse view. It's very easy to work with Eclipse views. So now I can drag and drop that structure on the left and can decide my column. So I can say sales order item position. So I can also change the name, item pos space n varchar of 3. That's my first column, comma. Watch out, guys, the syntax of creating a table at runtime in SQL script. This is the syntax. First column. Second column I want is size of the product. It's a varchar 40. Next I want is quantity, which is decimal 13.2. There's nothing called decimal here. It's I think there's a decimal, 15,2. Then I want gross amount and currency code. Gross amount is 15.2 and n varchar 5 is currency code. So say gross decimal 15.2 and currency. That's my table creation at runtime. It would create an out order table. Now watch out my logic. I say out order item table equals to select. Select kya select karoge? You got to now exactly select those columns which got to match with the output. So, and remember guys, your names must also match what you're selecting. So your first column which you're going to select is SO item pos. Okay, from the table. But tell me, your output internal table has what column name? Is your output internal table name, column name matching with your table column name? Is your internal output table column name is matching or not? Yes or no? It's not matching. What will you do? Anybody? What do you do to match your internal table column name with your database table name? Alias, perfect answer. You all do that in ABAP. Same thing मैं बोल रहा हूँ, कुछ अलग नहीं बोला मैंने. As your column name. So that's the column name. Item pos, comma, next column is I want the size. It's same, so we can keep it. Quantity is same, we can keep it. Be very careful. And then we have gross amount. So gross underscore amount as gross, and then I want to also return currency code as currency. Perfect, we are done. Into is not required. We are saying select these columns from this table where product is matching with our matching criteria from the previous selection based on category. That's it. So now this is an output, guys. This is an output table. It's going to return line items. It's going to return multiple records. This is how you return internal table out in ABAP. Similarly, I'm showing you here returning multiple records out. Clear, everybody? In explicit table creation in signature of the procedure. Is that clear? Let's generate it. F8. Now there's a problem with size. It's saying invalid column name size. Line number 22. Here it's invalid. The problem is that my table name, all the columns here, whatever you're writing, gets converted automatically to capital letter, and if in the database table the column name is in small letter, it creates problems. So just mention is as size. Just F8. Oops. Is this correct or not? Item pause. Item pause. Then size. Is the size is not a column? It is a column actually, but it is exactly different. Actually, it's not in capital letter in database table, so I have to mention it in double quotes. Size as size, and quantity is also differently maintained in DB table. It's case sensitive in DB table. You see quantity QTY small mein hai DB table mein, so these little bit of things you may have to be careful while working with DB tables. If the column names in database table are case sensitive, you have to exactly put them. Okay. Wow, it got created now, guys. Congratulations, it got created. I'm gonna take this procedure and call this procedure over here. Let's call this procedure. Call my procedure and tell me, guys, which product you want to see now data for. All the line items will come out for a product. Tell me a category. Which are all the products for which category of product you want to see line items created in sales orders? Anybody? Which product types? Non-veg pizzas. Let's pass non-veg pizzas. Execute. Voila, these are all the line items which are there in my order item table for non-veg pizzas. See? Clear, everybody? What is happening here? Hope you all can understand what's going on. Okay, that's our example. Explicit table type declaration. Explicit table type, guys. This is how you create it. Let me copy this procedure and just paste this over here as an example. It's very big, so maybe I just reduce the font size. May not be so intuitive for you, but yeah, that's the way of sharing my code. Okay, moving to the next use case. This is a bad approach. Now in ABAP, if you have to create a table, what do you actually do, guys? In ABAP, what do you actually do? In ABAP, if you have to create a table, an internal table, if you want to return out of a function module, क्या करते हो ABAP में? What do you do in ABAP? Can you create a table like this at runtime in ABAP? No, no. You create what? You can create a structure. Actually, that will not return a table out of a function module. I am asking, what do you do to return a table out of a function module? Can you refer to a structure? It will never return a table. Yes, you refer to a table type in ABAP, and that's what exactly same concept here. We can create a reusable table type, and we can mention that reusable table type. Okay, so all these columns which you wanted, let's create a reusable table type. I'm going to take all of them, and now watch out, guys. What I will do, I go back to my SQL console. Okay, over here, let me set schema Anubhav. Don't play with ABAP schema, guys. Don't create objects in ABAP schema. You will disrupt the system. Create it in your own schema. All the procedures, table type, everything which you want for our exercises, please create it in your own schema. Don't touch SAP ABAP schema. SAP ABAP schema is just for the referring to database tables, not for your personal development. It will disrupt our server and affect every single user. A clear guideline, clear caution. Let me note down this in the PPT so that you all can follow this golden rule. It will affect everybody. Never create table types and procedures in SAP ABAP one schema, create them in your own schema, calling DB tables of SAP ABAP one schema from EPM model, like we are doing here. Okay, like we are doing here. Okay, let's come back. So there's a question here, but select a statement. You selected QTY. However, in table structure, the column is QTY. No, let me show you once again. Let me show you. If this is a confusion, let me show you once again. You see here I've selected QTY. Q bada hai. And now let me show you table structure in parallel. Let me show you table structure in parallel. Now tell me, what do you see? Do you see QTY in small? Do you see QTY in small? Do you see QTY in small? No, na? Point one, is this clear? First point, is this clear? Now, coming to the next point. The next point is you had put in table type this QTY small. Doesn't matter, because any table type you create, can you tell me what will happen when you create a procedure with some name? Will this procedure be created case sensitive? Yesterday I told you this. What will happen when you create a procedure? How database persist this procedure? What database does to this procedure? Caps lock, right? It makes it convert to uppercase. Same happens to the table type. When you are writing a table type, system converts all the column names to uppercase automatically, and that's what you will see it in a minute when I create a table type, this which is what I will show you now in a minute. Okay, so let's create a table type in here. So I've already set the schema as Anubhav. Now I'm going to create a table type. What is the syntax to create a table type? The syntax to create a table type in SQL script: the syntax to create table type in SQL script is very simple. There are two syntaxes. Whatever is your choice. My duty is to tell you all the syntaxes. It's your choice to choose whichever you like. Create table type, table type name, whatever name you wish to give, parenthesis, column name, column type, comma, column name, column type, comma, column name, column type, and so on. Keep specifying that as long as you want. Clear? Syntax number one. Second syntax: create type, table type name, as table. Once again, column one, column type, comma, column two, column type, so on. That's how you put the table types. Let's go ahead and create it. I love first syntax. It's easy to remember. This is what I love. However, your choice, whatever you love, you can do that. I love first syntax. That's why I do that. So let's create it this time. So I say create table type. Anubhav is crazy. Yeah, that's my table type name. And I want to copy and paste my types from here, all the columns from here, come back and paste them, all of them here, and just end it with parentheses, and we are done, guys. Yesterday somebody was asking, can you expand this table type folder? There was nothing into it. Till now there's nothing into it. Watch out the magic. I execute it. Oops, there's an error. Create table type name. What is the issue? Let's check the issue. Looks like the name conflict. Incorrect syntax near table type. Create table type name. Okay, I think I have to give a space here. Let me give an execute. No. Okay, there's a syntax error then. Create type this as table. Let's try this one. Another syntax, execute. Voila, it got created. I think I told you the wrong syntax. So the first one I need to cross check, guys, if this is correct one. Right now, don't use this. I need to check it in SQL scripting guide in a minute. But let's look at this one. So create type, table type name as table, and all the columns you specify, and now come out. Which schema do you think this would have got created? What was the default schema set for the session? What was the default schema I set for this particular session, Anubhav? So this would have been now created in this one. Right click on table types, refresh. Voila, Anubhav is crazy. What do you observe? Point one, anybody, what do you observe? Point one, what do you observe? It got converted into uppercase. That's point one. Now, Udit, answering to your question, the table type columns. Did I put capital letter here? Did I put capital letter here in table type? No, na. Watch out. Double click on this object. See, it got converted to uppercase automatically. Clear, Udit? Your doubt is clear. So same thing is happening here. When you are doing this, this guy is getting converted to uppercase. And same happens when you put an alias. All the alias name also transform your column names to uppercase. And that's what is happening. So the case by case it matches और मजा आ जाता है वो ऑटोमेटिक ट्रांसफर कर देता है. That's what is also happening. And now what can you do? What can you do, anybody? What can you do? Why we created? Did we created this for fun? What can you do, guys? Did we created this guy for fun? What can you do with this guy? What can you do with Didic table types in ABAP? What do you do with a table types in ABAP? You can use this as a reference. Come back to your procedure, create another procedure, maybe cat1, and watch out, I remove the whole thing from here and just refer my table type. Anubhav is crazy. Done. Done. Execute. There's a problem. You can see it is trying to search this table type in my schema SAP ABAP 1 because that's the default schema which is mentioned here. It's searching all the objects used in this schema. So you have to specialize, put your schema name in which this table type exists. That's an important step. Execute now. Voila. It created your procedure using the table type. As a result, you can produce the same result what you were getting earlier by cat1 non-veg pizzas. Execute it, you see your result is coming out same thing, but now using an explicit table type created by yourself. Clear, everybody? Reusability, that's the power this table type gives you. Reusability. Clear, everybody? Three ways of creating internal tables I taught you. Implicit, creating on fly using table declaration, creating a table type. Now coming to the syntax which did not work for us, let's go to SQL scripting guide. So I just search for PDF help.sap.com SQL script, and you see HANA SQL script reference PDF. Select on that. I think it's some other website, Abasoft. I don't think so this is the right website, but however, let's quickly check if this would help us. If not, then we'll switch to the one original which is on HANA appliance, and I think this is latest one 2.0 SPS 0. That's okay. I think we can still refer this, and table type syntax is pretty old, so we can actually find that. So table type I search, and there you go, table types. Let's look at the syntax. Create type this as table. There's another syntax. You see, this is the one. Create type this as table. So this one table type syntax. Drop also is possible. Create type. I think, guys, this is the only syntax which we see here. There's no other syntax. So maybe I'll remove the another one. This is the only syntax I see. Let me search again the explicitly the second syntax. So I do Control F. Create table type. No, there's no syntax called create table type. Let me remove. I don't know where did I read that. There's nothing like this. You can use second syntax. And let me put now that example, the code snippet to create this table type and reuse it. So this is how you created it, and then you had just reused it in the signature of your procedure. Rest all code remains unchanged. Hope you will understand. Here is where we have used it. Okay. Is deep structure supported? I hope so. It is supported. You got to try that. Okay. So somebody is saying, is deep structure supported? Deep structure means referring another type in another type. I hope and I think it is supported. Let's give it a shot. I want to create another one, Anubhav crazy one. And here in the currency, maybe I want to now refer to Anubhav crazy one itself and execute. No, no, it's not supported, guys. It's not supported here. Deep structure, it's not working. Oops, sorry. I am referring to the wrong one. No, it's not supported. You see, it's giving me an error. While I'm trying to refer another table type, it's giving me an error. It's not supported here. Clear? Like we can do nesting of structure inside structure in ABAP. Here it's not supported. Okay. Okay, cool. So let's take a break for a minute and we will come back. I see no questions in the chat box, so let's continue. The next type of data type I want to discuss is the arrays. So unlike internal tables, what you created here, unlike tables, what you created here, what is an array? An array is a single column table, guys. Okay, you all have learned data structures in your engineering days, though even you are electronic student, data structure is a common subject to every one of us. We all know array and queues. Array is first in last out and queue is first in first out, right? So this is same concept. Array is a single column table, which means it's going to hold data of a single data type. So if I define an array as an integer array, then it's only going to hold only integer values inside. Okay, it's a single column table. So what are all the funda foxes for array? How do you declare an array? The syntax for creating an array, very easy. The syntax for creating an array is declare your array name and then your array type, whatever type you want, integer, tiny integer, character, whatsoever you like, you can put that array type, and then a keyword called array that creates an array, guys. If you want to assign default value to an array, you can just type like this, array, and you can pass values over here, value 1 comma value 2 comma value 3 and so on. All the values you can pass inside an array like this. So this is how you create an array and initialize array with multiple values. Now remember, guys, an array value can also be assigned using code, and that's access to an array is done by index. Okay, so all the access of data inside of an array is done by index of an array. Can anybody tell me, those who have taken my UI5 training, what is the index starts with? What is the index starts with an array in UI5 and Fiori? Satish, Udit, you all are correct. It starts with 0 in JavaScript. Those who have taken UI5, they are answering correct. But here it's different. Index here starts with 1. Okay, it starts with 1 in ABAP as well as in SQL script. सिमिलर टू अबाप. अबाप में इंटरनल टेबल का इंडेक्स कहां से स्टार्ट होता है? 1 से स्टार्ट होता है. जावास्क्रिप्ट में इट स्टार्ट्स विद 0. सर्वर साइड जावास्क्रिप्ट स्टार्ट्स विद 0. Node.js starts with 0. Here it starts with 1. And similar to ABAP. Those who familiar with ABAP, you know internal table Cytabix. Have you ever used Cytabix in your life? If you work with internal table, you must have. Then that is the same concept. It starts with 1. Okay, that's what exactly the index starts here with 1. Okay, how let's go ahead and create an array. You can also access an element. How do you access array element? Using array name, and then inside this you can put index, and then you can access the value based on its index. Let's go ahead and create a very simple array example. I'm going to create 2 integer arrays, assign value of one integer array to another integer array, and then just going to print a particular index value on the UI. So maybe I can just go ahead and do so. So I'm going to create a procedure one more time. Create procedure array demo, and we're going to ask user to pass an index as an input parameter. So I'm going to say pass me in an index. What do you want to access? So id x, I want to pass integer, and then I'm just going to create an array below. Let me create an array of दो का पहाड़ा आता है, so let's create that. So declare table of 2, and then it's a integer array. You can put it in small letter, it is not case sensitive. Okay, I'm just showcasing here the capability. So दो चार छः और 10 12 16 18 20, that's my array. Okay, yeah, we want to create probably, and actually it doesn't matter now, we are not accessing any db table, guys, so don't worry. And this doesn't mean it will create in above one schema. This means which tables are you accessing, so leave that, doesn't matter. It will create our array still into Anubhav schema because that's session schema set it for this particular session. And now what I want to do is I want to give an output variable. So let me just give you an output variable. So I want to say whatever index you will pass, I'm going to access that and say return equals to, and abhi isko use karna hai, you have to use something, then you can say table of array, use smiley symbol to use something, and then I can say pass this index, whatever index you have input that you pass it, and that goes as a return. Let's execute it. Syntax error, line number 7. Okay, declare array of 2 integer array, all the values. Yes, here is an error. Execute, got created successfully. Let's call this. Tell me, guys, what do you want to access? Which item of table of 2 you want to access? Anybody, come on, tell me fast. Which item you want to access from a table of 2? 5, fifth item, what will be the value output? Anybody? 2 into 5, what is it? 10. Execute, 10 aa gaya. Clear? How to create an array? Access of an array is based on index. Question number 1, very important. Can you return an array out? First certification question of SQL script. Can you return an array out of a procedure? Anybody? This is a very big limitation of SQL script. 100% interview question. Okay, you cannot return out an array. What do you do? What can you return out? Just now we saw in the previous example, what can you return out of a, what can you table type you can return? So how do you now transfer this data of an array to a table type? Okay, we will see that. Let's first take this very simple example, copy and paste this, and I'm gonna use another example. I'm gonna print off a table. जो भी बोलोगे उसका table print कर दूंगा. How do you do that? Let's take an input as a parameter, the number, and now I'm gonna return a table out. Watch out, I'm gonna return a table out. So I say return. This time it's a table which I'm returning, and I'm gonna say number as integer. That's a table return, guys. Clear, everybody? This is an implicit table, explicit table declaration. This will return a table out, and this ret, I'm going to return the value in number. Now what you're going to do first, let's loop over. Let's do a for loop of an I. So declare index I integer, assign value 0, just assign value as 10 for I in 1 to 10. Okay, do and 4, and now we will calculate this into an array. Let's declare an array. I just can say anything. Kelsey. Let's put it Kelsey array, integer type array, and I'm gonna say Kelsey and in this I will put index of I 1 2 3 4 5 6 and so on equals to integer of I multiplied by the index value number what user is passing. Clear everybody? So though pass karoge the 2 into 1 2 into 2 2 into 3 2 into 4 2 into 5 and so on, it will loop over, insert the items into your array. Your array is now filled with the table values. You can return that to a table type. Very simple in SQL script. In SQL script you have a function called unnest function. Unnest function, you got to use that to transfer the data from an array to a table. Clear everybody? How do you transfer data from an array to a table? Unnest function, put your return table ret equals to unnest, unpack, packet है उसको खोल के unnest कर दो. What is the array name? It's Kelsey, comma, what is the column name you want to transfer? What is the name of your column, guys? That's what you have to put in unnest function. Okay, your column name has to come up to what column you want to transfer it actually. That's what unnest function does. You got to now put your column name. So column name in the table is num. Okay, that's what I have to put. Let's execute it. There is a problem. Line number, cannot use duplicate name of function. Absolutely. So I can say calculate table. Scalar type is not allowed in line number 13. Okay, there is a problem here. I think this is not correct. This is not correct. We have to say as num. I hope so. This should work. No. Okay, I think we have to also use a parenthesis here. Yes, that's the right syntax, guys. The array name as your column name of the table type. If you have multiple columns returning out, you can actually do that also. Okay, you can also do that. Put all your arrays one by one and map them. Okay, that also you can do it. So that's our transfer of data using unnest function. Very powerful, very powerful, guys, very powerful. Okay, because you can't return an array out of a function. That's why we have to use this. Now let's call this up. बताओ कौन सा table print करूं? बोलो, जो बोलोगे वो print कर दूंगा. Come on, anybody tell me which table you want me to print. Come on, this is one good example. You can give it to your kid to build as a programming start. You can yourself practice that. Please do try this at home. Tell me, which table do you want me to print? Anybody, tell me your lucky number. Anybody, what do you want me to print? Come on, fast. Are you able to hear me? Is this audible? No, looks like lost the connection. Okay, got a lucky number 7 this time. So now let's try that. Execute, and there you go. That's your table of 7. Go back, maybe make it 10. Execute. It's a table of 10. Clear everybody? Try out this very simple example but yet very powerful. Transferring data from an array to a table. Very powerful. Let's take this example and put it into the PPT. Transfer data from an array to a table. Wow, cool, perfect. So that's what we are doing now here. Next, what else? So we learned about array. Now let's talk about cursors. The last topic of SQL script, cursors. What is cursors? So there is a question here. Can we directly call procedure present in ABAP 1 schema from ABAP NetWeaver? Absolutely yes, Bhanu. We will see that in upcoming days. Okay, we will see that in upcoming days. One important announcement which I also reiterating, which I also announced it. Next 2 weekends there is no class. I am going for a vacation after a long time. 19 20 26 27 4 days, no classes are planned. Our next class is planned on 2nd of June, so you got to wait till that time. Important is not calling it from ABAP. Important is learning SQL script. Believe me, even a 6th class, 10th class kid can call a procedure present in your schema. I will give you a glimpse of that in a minute before I close today's class. But importance is not that. बच्चा भी कॉल कर देगा प्रोसीजर को अब ऐप से बच्चा भी कॉल कर देगा guys. Even a 10th class student can call a procedure. Calling is not at all a big deal. What is challenging? Can anybody guess? What is more challenging? Is calling is a challenge. Calling is what? Nonsense. Call, procedure name, done. Writing the SQL script is a challenge. Okay. Writing a SQL script is a challenge. That's a challenge for an ABAPer today. It's not about calling a challenge. I will show you that, however, in a minute, how to call it. Okay, how to call it. Before I close today's class, I'll give you a glimpse of that. There are multiple ways. However, I'll show you that. In ABAP, after select, we do size sub RC to check if select is successful or not. What to do, follow here. So after selection, you can actually check your object in which you are selecting. So if you are just selecting in an internal table LT product, like if you want to check the number of records, there is a way to check that. To actually call record count function in SQL script to check that. I will show you it in a minute. Still UDF is left. I will cover that, don't worry, it's part of our course. We will cover everything whatever I promised. Okay, let's proceed. First talk about cursors. Oh my god, SQL script is a big chapter. I'm teaching everything. Cursors. There's a last question from Sachin. Can we also call procedure inside a procedure like nested procedure concept? There is a SQL script. Absolutely, it's possible. Yesterday I showed you one example calling a procedure inside procedure, Sachin. Please refer yesterday class video. We already did one example. We can call a procedure inside procedure. It's completely possible. Okay. If the first select doesn't give any data, what happens to second select? Full table scan for all entries? No, it will actually not do a full table scan. If first procedure doesn't give any first query doesn't give any data, it will just not return anything out of second query because we are using in operator. There is no for all entries here in SQL script. Okay, we'll see that. So cursor, what is cursor in SQL script? Very important point. Cursors are used to fetch data from database tables. They are actually a named query. Okay, they are actually a named query. So whenever a cursor is created, it is assigned or bound to a query always. Okay, it is possible to also pass parameters to the query which is assigned to a cursor. Okay, one important point to note here, my duty is not just to teach you concept but also to teach you the best practices. It is not recommended to use cursors. However, I will show you an example of a cursor so you understand how the cursor works. It is not recommended to use cursors. Okay, avoid using cursors. That's what SAP recommends. Okay, you should use cursors if you really think that nothing else is possible. You have to apply cursor, but there's nothing like that. You can actually do a lot, but you should not use cursors. That's the reason. You should do this as a cursor cannot be because why you should not use cursors? Because it cannot be used optimized. There is no SQL optimizer in the middle. When you use cursor, you are directly talking to database interface. Typically when you use query, the database optimizes your query But in case of cursor, actually, there is no optimizer comes into picture. There is no automatic optimization by database. Okay, that's why you should not use cursors until unless they are really, really necessary. What are all the steps to use a cursor? First step is declare. Second step is open. Third step is fetch. And last step is close. डिक्लेयर करो, खोल दो, कॉल कर दो, फेच कर लो डेटा को, और उसके बाद में कर्सर को क्लोज कर दो. That's exactly 4 simple steps to use a cursor. Okay, let's go ahead and shoot up a very simple example with a parameterization of cursor. I want to now read a product price, or probably set of products from the system. So use case, what is our use case? Read product info by category. Okay, I want to do that. So let's go ahead and do that. Very, very simple. Let's come here, cursor demo. Input is product category. I can say I cat, I am cat, I am cat. Wow, what a word. I am cat. Varkar. It's fun actually. 30, and then return the price of the product, or maybe I want to return something out. Maybe just product price. I want to return a product price out. Okay, so just return a product price out as an integer, and that's it. I'm going to say R price, return price. So R price. We're going to use ABAP1 tables. So let's write down the steps here to use this cursor. So steps are very, very simple. Declare cursor. So say declare cursor name C1. Whatever name you like, you can do that. Okay, declare cursor cursor1, and you can pass a parameter here. I can say cat as in parameter, varchar of 30. That's a parameter I'm passing to cursor for select price, or S column is holding the price actually in my table, from snwd underscore pd table, where category is equals to the cursor parameter here. You can only access cursor parameter here in select query. You see cursor parameter is cat, वो मैं यहाँ पे use कर रहा हूँ. This is statement number 1 to declare a cursor assigned to a query. Now you say open C1, and now you can pass the parameter value here, which is your input parameter I am cat. This is how you open the cursor. Next you call fetch cursor into your variable. So what is that you're fetching here? The price of the product, right? So let me fetch it into a price variable. Let me declare the price variable on the top. Declare price variable as an integer. I would like to extend today's class by 30 minutes. If you can't survive, please leave the room, because after that we don't have class anymore for next 2 weeks. You can relax, you can learn, you can follow. However, today's class I want to extend by 30 more minutes. मुझे मजा आ रहा है आज कोड करने में. I love SQL script. That's why I love to teach SQL script, and that's what I want to do. Complete this chapter of SQL script at least today. So please bear with me for 30 more extra minutes, and maybe who knows, it could extend for more 1 hour more, because some of you may be having a lot of doubts, which I would like to also answer by the end of today's class. Okay, and I want to also give you a glimpse of accessing these procedures directly from ABAP. Okay, how do you access from ABAP system? That's what I want to give a glimpse to all of you. Now coming, fetch C1 into price, and once this is fetching is done, you've got your value into this. Okay, fetch this into. So now typically you can fetch cursor into, if you would have done an complete record, you would have done, let's say, complete select star, it will fetch everything. And now you can say fetch C1 into record. I can call it as row. Okay, my row. This is how it will fetch this record. So cursor will fetch when you call fetch statement, will read row by row in the variable, and this row variable here, variable is created automatically. Okay, it gets created automatically, guys. Okay, once this is done, it's created automatically. Now you can transfer the data from this my row to this value of price. I can say price assign my row dot, now your value मुझे assign करना s column value to price, and this price I want to probably return directly, so let's assign it to our price. You don't need this extra guy over here. It's going to return the price. Now your question can be a noob, you're doing select star, this would end up reading multiple records for this category. What do we do? Right now let's just understand this fetch statement only fetches one record and it assigns to this row. You're just right now returning first record value into our price. Just understand that at the moment, and then you say close your cursor name C1, execute it. Wrong number of values in into list of fetch statement. Okay, what's the issue here? Wrong number of values. Okay, I think it's a problem. Fetch C1 into our, I think we can right now just go ahead with S, I guess. Let me just try that. Identify must declare my row. No guys, you have to declare my row. Actually we can actually directly fetch this into our price. Okay, we are just selecting one record, so we can do that. F8, it got created. You can see it got created. Now the R price will now get this value of price selected from table. Let's execute and test it. I'll show you multiple record also, multiple record scenario in a minute. I can now use this procedure. Let's come back, call our procedure, and now I'm going to pass the category value input, and output will be the price of the first product. So let's pass the category. I say veg pizza question mark, execute. Oops, is this having two input parameter? No, so sorry guys, it has to now have an output parameter. I did a mistake. This should be an output parameter. That's the problem. Got to drop this guy now. Done. And now let's go ahead and call this guy, execute, and you see price of the first product, something randomly picked up and showing you the price 75. Okay, that's point one. Now what about multiple access? Anybody in ABAP, what do you do to access multiple records in ABAP of a database table? What do you do in ABAP? Anybody? Anybody? Simple cursor with param. How do you access multiple records in ABAP from a DB table? How do you do that? Anybody? Any ABAPer in the room? How do you access multiple records of DB table? How do you access multiple record in ABAP? How do you process multiple records of an internal table? How do you process multiple record of an internal table in ABAP? How do you process multiple record? No. Loop at item, perfect answer. You got to do loop, guys, ultimately. So now if I want to process all the product price in using this, I have to use a loop, guys. Very, very important. I have to use a loop. So to process it, you got to use a loop. For that, you got to use for loop, guys. Let's go ahead and use a for loop. For work area as cursor name do. This is what the syntax is. You got to use for loop, loop over the data one by one record using for loop, and the work area will automatically be created for us. Okay, so system would automatically create the work area for us for the cursor. Let me show you how do you do that. So now what you can do is, instead of fetch statement, it's not required, you can use a loop, and you also don't need open statement. Open and close of cursor will also be taken care by the loop statement. So let's come on the top. This is returning, the query is returning multiple records. I can now just say for, and I can say row of my table. I can say my row of the table, and then I can say as my cursor name, I can pass my category value, IMCAT do, and then say and for. Now the beauty of for statement, you don't need to open, fetch and close. This is equivalent to loop at item. Okay, clear? It is equivalent to loop at item, guys. You don't need to open and close. Okay, now you can also do select star. It will fetch all the multiple columns of your choice. That's what you can do actually. And now what I can also do is I can access here row index pretty nicely, pretty easily. Like in ABAP, you can access the row index by site ABIX. You can access the row index by double colon row count of the cursor. Okay, double colon row count of the cursor, you can actually access it. So you can say double colon row count. That will give you the row index, which means now I can use an array to insert these product price into this. So let me just declare an array, and I can say array price integer, and now I can say integer of array, and I can say array price bracket row count index starts with 1 here, row count 1 2 3 4 and so on, and whatever data is coming out in my underscore row dot, I can use a column name. So column name is my S column, which is holding the price. This is how finally an array will be prepared, and this array has now all the values of the price. What you can now do, create here an output table. And you know, how do you transfer data from an array to a table? Anybody? How do you transfer data from an array to a table? Anybody? Which statement do you use in SQL script? Unnest. Perfect answer. Let's come down. Those who are going to work machine learning in future, remember, बहुत याद करोगे मुझे. Those who are planning to work in your life in coming future, working with machine learning on SAP HANA, remember, you will love me for this, because this is what extensively used in machine learning also. Those who are going to work with scripted calculation view in your life, you are going to love me for this. Those who are going to work with ABAP managed data procedures in life, you are going to remember me for this. Those who are going to work with procedure proxies in ABAP, you are going to love me for this. Those who are going to work with ABAP native procedures and UDF functions, you're gonna love me for this. Those who are going to work with HANA access programming with data intensive logic writing into SAP HANA are going to love me for this. एक SQL script सीख लो, तुम्हारी जिंदगी बन जाएगी. 5 concept cover हो जाते हैं इससे. 5 different concepts will be covered with one SQL script. I know it's a pain, but no pain no gain, guys. It's a pain but no pain no gain. It's a pain but no pain no gain. You have to take this pain. एक बार सारे example try कर लो, perfect हो जाओगे SQL script में. Nobody will be able to touch you. Coming back, now I'm going to return this into R price. So I can say R price. It's a table now. I can use unnest function, and I'm going to pass my array as price. Perfect example of a cursor. So यहाँ पे cursor open होगा, fetch हो जाएगा, and after end for, cursor will also get closed automatically. Let's create this, and I can say cursor table. Execute it. Oops, there is a problem. Identifier must be declared. Row count is not proper. Let me just check what's the problem with this guy. I got it. It's not row underscore count. I did a typo. And let me try now. Voila, it got created, guys. Let's come back. And now I just come here. This guy, I put cursor table. I'm gonna pass veg pizzas. Watch out. All the price is gonna come out now for veg pizza products. So now it's a SQL processing error. Anubhav.cursor table. Okay. What's the issue? Anubhav.cursor table. Anubhav.cursor table line number 13. There is a problem. Arithmetic expression is error is coming. Line number 13, here there is a problem. Array of price. This array of price is an integer array. We already declared it on the top. My row dot s. Let me use here big integer. Maybe the price is causing an issue. Not sure. Price is not same as integer. Okay. Now then alter. What is the problem, guys, here with this statement? There's something wrong. Oh, I missed it, guys. You have to use your name, cursor name, colon row count. Which row count you want to point? Or what if you have 5 cursors in your code? Which row count you want to offer? Which row count you want to refer, guys? What if you have 5 cursors in your code? Which row count you want to refer? Very important. You have to use your C1 colon row count. Very, very important. That was the problem. This is not a problem. Say alter, execute, come back, execute, voila, all the price comes out of the table in table format. These are all the products belongs to veg pizza. 75 120 120 याद रखना 3 नंबर शुरू के. I make it non-veg pizza. 75 120 120, you see 170 170, which means it's properly working. What if I want 2 properties? Very, very easy. Just drop this procedure and recreate another one. So say drop procedure. I love this SQL script. I'm a big fan of SQL script. Very, very powerful to database. And I'll create another here called product ID as varchar of 30, comma. And I'm gonna use prod ID and just put this guy over here, prod ID. I'm gonna pass another array where I'm going to hold the product IDs. Okay, let's declare this prod IDs array on the top. And then I will write here varchar of 30 is my product ID. And I now again use this guy C1 colon row count equals to my row dot product ID. So 2 arrays now, inserting data in 2 arrays. From 2 arrays to a table, I'm transferring the data prod ID and price, prod ID and price, prod ID and price. Order गलत हो गया sir, order गलत हो गया, पंगे हो जाएंगे. Let's put this, put price here. Now you try, execute it. Oops, there's a problem. Incorrect syntax error. Varchar of 30. Yes, there's an array. Execute. Sorry. Integer and varchar. Return type mismatch. Prod ID varchar 30. Price is integer. That's my return type. Sequence. What sequence? First prod ID we are returning, and second we are returning price. That's correct only. Sequence is correct. Here it's a sequence problem. Yeah, you're right. Here is a sequence problem. First product ID array and this execute. Wow, got created, guys. Got created. Let's call this guy, call this gentleman, and I'm gonna come back and let me just re-execute it as it is. And you should see product ID and the price now together as an output. Clear, everybody? How do you process line by line? They call loop at itab. याद करोगे loop at itab कैसे करें? ऐसे करते हैं loop at itab. Clear, everyone? How do you do loop at itab? You can do like this in SQL script. Okay, I want to add price by 100. I want to increment the price by 100. Simply plus 100 कर दो sir. मजा आ जाएगा. देखना अभी. I save this. I alter this. I can create and drop again. ये देखो ऐसे मैनिपुलेशन लॉजिक लिख सकते हो आप. You can manipulate the data like this rather than manipulating it in a BAP. Do it in database. It's faster. You're sitting next to database. It's faster. Push down the code into SQL script, guys. You're gonna get maximum out of database. Push down your logic to DB using SQL script. Don't pull the data in a BAP. Don't process it in internal table. You're gonna get maximum out of SAP HANA. Push it down into the SQL script, guys. This is how you're going to push down the logic to DB. मजा आ रहा है कि नहीं आ रहा है? तकलीफ हो रहा है सीखने में? तकलीफ होगा तभी सीखोगे. Watch out here. The same procedure I'm calling. Initially now it's 99. Remember this 99 for 1022. I'm going to again make a call. And now you see, oops. Okay, I have to go to for non-veg pizzas, I guess. Execute. Okay. Did it increase? I don't know. Did it really worked? Hopefully it should. I'm increasing by 100 the price. Not sure. Let me just check for veg pizzas. Once again, execute. 175 हो गया देखिए. 175, 102 to 199 it is now. See, BI 1022 it become 199. It increased by 100. Clear everybody? You can do the data manipulation in SQL script like this. What a perfect example of database data manipulation, sitting very close to DB. Very close to DB, guys. Copy this code. Let's put it in the PPT. The use case here is to manipulate the data with cursor. Okay, so that's the cursor topic. Any questions on cursor topic? How to transfer the data to a table as well, we saw. Okay, time for an exercise for all of you. Cursor should be used whenever you think you really need the cursor. You should avoid using cursor. If you can actually do manipulation directly without cursor, you can actually avoid that. So same thing, if you ask me, if I would have been at your place, I wouldn't have done this. What would have I done? I would have written that directly in my select query. You can actually do that. Let me show you a variant of that. So you can come back here and you can say select this data, select the product ID, and put as your price of the column plus 100 here. Right? You can do that. You can do that, right, guys? This is what I would have done. I don't really need to bring the data into cursor. It does it same thing for you. Clear? So this is the better way, and take this data into an LT table, LT internal table, like an implicit data declaration. Parallelize your queries as much as possible. Don't write declarative, try to write declarative logic. Don't write imperative logic. Okay? Don't write imperative logic. Very important to note that. Okay? Yes, generally when you have huge volume of data, you can also use SQL script. You want to take maximum out of your database, guys. Maximum out of that time, performance improvement. If you feel cursor, you see, my duty is to tell you all the techniques for SQL script. It's you who will apply it. You feel there's no way out. You got to do something very special, row by record. You want to use that cursor, then you can of course use the cursor. It's your choice. You got to decide what you want to do. My duty is to teach you everything. It's you who will decide it. You can actually, I showed you also another way of doing this S plus 100 directly, price incremented by 100. Directly you can do it. Why to use cursor? Right? Really not necessary. Okay, time for an exercise for all of you. I said only 30 minutes. Sorry, extended little more. Let's put an exercise. Do you want more? Shall we extend more 30 minutes, guys? Do you want more? Today only I can complete UDF and also ABAP consumption and OIA scenario using SQL script. All three, 1 more hour I need. You want it? Let's see the voting. So Satyaji is saying yes. So only 1 vote till now. 2 yes. 1 okay. Okay, let's do that then. Let's consume this procedure in ABAP also, and let's also try to complete UDF as well. Okay, one more important point to note that I will post my previous batch CDS sessions, 2 sessions only. There are more actually, 2 sessions in our blog. So those who are dying to see the CDS, above CDS, and you think there is a loss of your because of my vacation, you can refer my CDS videos. This is what I've got multiple requests from many of you, and I completely respect your emotions. Because of my vacation, it should not be a loss to you. So I will be posting CDS view sessions, which are upcoming sessions. However, I will post my previous batch CDS view sessions in our training blog here into it, so you guys can go through the videos. Once I come back, I'm going to anyways cover them once again. But those who are actually dying to see CDS concept and you want to really do that, make use of your weekends and time, you can watch through those videos. Okay, this is due to multiple requests which I received. I don't want to lose on time for you guys. You're trusting me, I also trust you, and that's the reason I'm going to post. However, after coming back, I'll again repeat those sessions as a live classes so you can ask your doubts. Okay, so let's come back now. We talked about cursors. There is one question which I've not attended yet. Let me talk about that first. How to check if the data is returned back from DB table. In ABAP, we can use psi-db count, or we can use psi-subarc to tell. You don't need to do that. You are already close to DB, guys. Let me show you how do you do that. Very, very easy. You can actually go back. There are multiple ways to do that. In fact, let me show you the one easy way. So let's create a new procedure. You can pass the table name and output parameter has record. Okay, so you can pass an internal table name, a database table name here, and dynamically now you can calculate whether the table has a record. So this first thing you can do, select count star into x from. एक तो ये कर सकते हो. Clear everybody? One thing you can do this one. So you can say x is greater than 0. Then has record is 1. Clear everybody? This is one way you can do. Let me not activate and do this. I just copy this code. You can test this code. This is point one you can do in SQL script to check the number of records. This is one code you can write. Let me just take the whole procedure and put it. This is option number one you have. Just check if you get any syntax error, just do let me know. You can try that out and you can adopt it, of course. Now you're ready for that. This is one way. Second, you can also return a literal. You can say if select x into this x from table name. So at least if it has one record, then this value of x is going to become x. Okay, so you can say check x. If it is equals to x, then has a record. Else, of course, you can say has record equals to 0. This is another way. Clear everybody? I showed you this in ABAP also, returning a literal out of it. This is another technique. Technique number 3, which is something which you probably don't know right now. So you are probably selecting some data from a table and you probably say select star, and now you have got this data into a table, an implicit table type. I can call it as itab. Okay, coming back little close to above syntax. So I can say itab, and now I can use something called a special function inside SQL script to count the record. We can say record count, guys. So I can say declare a variable, and I can say cnt, and there's a ready-made function called record count. In this pass your implicit table, ये आपको वो दे देगा, count दे देगा actually. So probably I want to return the number of records directly. So I can say has count equals to cnt. You can actually do this. Has record. This you can do. This will give you, and now you can reuse this procedure wherever you like. And further on, you can check if the return has some value. If it is greater than 0, then do things. All that you can do within here itself. Also, you can just check further on if has record is greater than 0, तो कुछ करना है मेरे को. You can do all that blah blah stuff. That's pretty much intact. So main thing learning here is record count to check the number of records in the internal table which you have it. Let's generate this. There's a problem. Syntax near language. Okay, sorry, I forgot to close this box. Execute. Scalar type is not allowed, line number 7. Okay, select star from table name. Okay, guys, this table name here it's not considered here. I think invalid table name. I think we got to pass this in the parentheses like this. That's how we do it in ABAP dynamically. No, it's not working. How do we pass dynamically my table name? Now you see I'm stuck. The scalar type is not allowed, line number 7. You see this guy, it's not accepting. What do we do? What do we do? Where do we get help from? Many times it so happen, maybe something is there in SQL script, Anubhav did not cover it. Where do you get that help from? Anybody? Where do you get that help from? SQL script guide, guys. Come back here and search for, let's say, dynamic. Yes, dynamic SQL. Just come see that. कुछ तो मिलेगा. Execute, insert into this. Oh, wow. Let's take this code. It's executing something. Execute this. Execute immediate. You see some example. Execute this statement. Execute immediately this statement by this. All these things you can do that. Execute immediate in your select statement. Yeah. And this tab thing is actually a table name, and you can parameterize that with the value. Okay, see, that's what you can do. Dynamic SQL. That's a dynamic SQL, guys. It's a dynamic SQL. Execute immediate. Wow, what an example. Let's try this. I can come here and I can say select. Instead of this guy, I can say execute immediate. Pass my dynamic SQL. So execute immediate. And I can say select star from table name. Table name is a variable now here. Into का जरूरत नहीं है. This gets executed. Let's hope this should work. Execute this. No. Okay, where the data will go. So after execute immediate, identifier must be declared iTab. Where will I get now this data? Let me check. How can we get this data from? Where do we get this data of execute immediate? How do we get this data of execute immediate? Let me check. So this is where you can get help from. I'm not sure. We should be able to find that. What happens after I do execute immediate? Some dynamic SQL I'm executing. How can I get the response back? And yes, after executing, you can assign to a proc execution. Execution can make dynamic SQL call, and whatever output is producing, I think it's assigning. Let me see. Not able to find that. Execute immediate. How do I now catch this result of execute immediate? That's what I'm not able to find. Okay, let me just do a direct Google. I want to assign a value actually. So will it work with exec? Okay, same example they've taken here. Can't assign output. Okay, it can only be used when a procedure returning something. Can't we use it directly to assign a value? You see guys, these type of procedures, they will overall return final result. When you say execute immediate, this whole thing will produce some result. So I think we have to separate this into a completely different code. So we have to separate this whole thing into another procedure and call that procedure. So let me do that. So execute select star from this, and what is the procedure should return now? You see procedure is returning a tab of these things. I need to check that guys. I need some time to check that. How to pass a dynamic table name over here. There has to be an easy way. Let me check that. Dynamic table name SQL script HANA. It should be easy, not directly execute immediate all the time. Let me check. So I want to pass a table name, insert into this table. Okay, leave it. Create procedure this. Okay, they are using execute only guys. Execute only. So execute immediate only we have to use. There's no way. There's no way. We have to use execute only. See, here they are preparing this dynamic statement. Okay, so looks like I have to use execute immediate only. Okay, no problem. We'll do that. So now what I'll do is create a procedure check if table, pass the table name, and whatever it produces that should go out. So maybe I want to return here the product ID or maybe star. But how do we return now dynamic columns? That's also a catch. How do we return a dynamic column? Not really sure. I need to check that. I need to check that. Dynamic SQL statement with table name. We can work with count star. I'm not sure. This is ABAP again. This is not HANA. Okay guys, I need to check that. How to use execute immediate for getting the records from the table. I'm not sure how to do that. However, it should be possible with a static table at the moment. Let's try with this record count at the moment with a static table name, not with a dynamic table name. Okay, so I'll remove this. I'm just going to put a static statement for time being and show you the result. So I can say itab equals to select star from snwd underscore sales order table, and then I'm counting the record count and just getting it into has record. Okay, let's create this procedure. Got created. Let's check if table. Come back. So I'll show you the dynamic one also in the later class. Maybe I forgot that syntax, but we can do that actually. So I've just passed something blank, and now I just want to calculate records, and you see it giving me the number of records in my order table 3003. Ideally wanted to make it as an import parameter and dynamically wanted to select it just the way you can use in ABAP a parenthesis and your variable name, but here it's getting little tricky. It's not working with execute immediate. Okay, I'm not sure. Let me give a last try. Okay, let me give a last try. I can say drop procedure. Let me give a last try with table name. No, it's not allowing me. Just use this guy. No, it's not allowing me. No, it's not working out that way. Okay, let's move back to the previous step. I'm going to put it right now as a hard coded value. You guys can try that, and maybe I will also check for a solution. How can I do this dynamically? So right now, dynamic SQL, I have to check that. That's an open item. I will check that and come back to you. So you can check at least the number of records using record count function over here. Clear, everyone? Now, you have created a procedure and now you want to consume that procedure in ABAP. How do you do it? So let's see if we can connect to our RDP or ABAP on HANA system. Let me try connecting to that with my user. Okay, I need a restart for my this thing. Just give me a second. I'll join with another laptop the meeting and I will show you that in the system. Just give me a second. So what we are doing here, we have a HANA DB. Here our procedure exists. Now this procedure needs to be invoked by ABAP. So we create a ABAP procedure proxy object, guys. This procedure proxy object will allow me to access a HANA procedure stored in SAP HANA system and consume it from ABAP. In ABAP, when you create a procedure proxy, it would end up generating something called a class and a method. From your ABAP program, now you can make a call to your procedure proxy as if just like you are calling a normal ABAP class. Ultimately, behind the scenes, it will call the procedure. This class method would have all the import export parameter as per the in and out parameter of your procedure. So ultimately, data transfer would take place between ABAP layer and HANA layer. Important thing to note that you should be able to do this only starting NetWeaver 7.4. If you are on below version of NetWeaver 7.4, you have to use ADBC to make a call to call procedure statement using SQL. Okay, like you did in view concept. In the view also, if you remember in the slide where I've showed you the view concept, we were doing similar thing. We were consuming information model using view proxy or ADBC if you are on below 7.4. Yeah, but the problem here was transport and synchronization, lifecycle management and synchronization. Same problem will arise here, and that's the reason we have concept of ABAP managed data procedure. It's a top down approach. You create an AMDP, activate and call it. It creates a procedure in HANA. Here it's a bottom up approach where now you have to synchronize this object every time there is a change done. Okay, that's a disadvantage of procedure proxy. Procedure proxy can only and only be created using your ADT tools. Let's create a procedure proxy for an already existing procedure in HANA. Okay, so let me do that. What I'll do is I'll just go to my ADT and I'll switch to my ABAP perspective. So I'll show you right now just consuming a procedure existing in a SAP ABAP 1 schema in my HANA system. I go to ABAP perspective. Now I just open up my add my ABAP project. You see SF4 system, my S4 HANA system already added over here. I just connect to my system. It will open up and I'm going to create a procedure proxy. This is absolutely equivalent to creating a class in ABAP. Okay, it's just a proxy object so that I can communicate to DB procedures. So I can right click on my local objects, new, other ABAP repository objects and search for procedure proxy. Database procedure proxy, and voila, now you can choose a procedure proxy name. I can say Z proc procedure proxy demo, and I can say description first call to HANA procedure. Which approach it is, guys? Which approach it is it a bottom up or top down? Anybody? Which approach it is? Which approach do you think it is? Is it a bottom up? Absolutely right answer. It's a bottom up approach. You're going to consume something existing in DB by creating a proxy object. AMDP, which approach AMDP is? which we will look at in next class. Which approach AMDP is? It's a top-down approach. You don't have to have a problem of life cycle management in AMDP. Just like you have a concept of CDS view where you don't have a life cycle issues. When you activate CDS view, it generates the view in underlying HANA DB. Okay, HANA procedure. Now you can choose your HANA procedure over here, guys. Wow. You can use your HANA procedure. So let me just choose a procedure. Let me just put some procedure name. I don't know whether it exists or no. I can say S control space, and you see there are a lot of procedures which I can call, which exist in SAP HANA. I'm not sure which one should be important, but you see there are a lot of them. You see, lot of them are there. Okay, clear everybody? You can call any of the procedures. So let me call this DP get customizing. I'm not sure if this is good, but we can try that up. So this is a procedure I want to call. Next, finish. Done, guys. We're done. A procedure proxy object is created. Now you can call the procedure. You see all the input output parameters. So there's an input table and there's an output table of this procedure. They're all visible to you. Clear everybody? You can pass an input and you can get an output from this. IT custody, ET custody entry, DP get customizing. That's what exactly you have. You can just do a save, activate this. You got to synchronize this object, very important, timely basis. If there's a change in underlying procedure, system has created an interface for you which shows you all the input and output parameter table types which you can pass to it, and this will give you the data now. So let me just activate this procedure proxy. What is there in calling a procedure, guys? Nothing. Any kid can call a procedure. Writing this procedure is complex part. Calling procedure is not at all complex. Believe me. Anybody can call a procedure. If I give you a procedure, you can easily call it. Very, very easily you can call it. Use this procedure proxy name, and now I will write an ABAP program to do so, making a call to it. Right click, new ABAP program, and I say zdemo call proc HANA, calling HANA procedure via proxy. NetWeaver 7 for only. Below that, you got to use ADBC. Click on finish. And now calling a procedure proxy is just halwa. Call. I forgot the syntax. It's, I think, call procedure. Just let me check. Call procedure proxy and control space. No. Call database. Yes, call database procedure, control space, and put your procedure proxy name is zproc proxy demo. There you go. Control space, press enter. And now it's just like you can pass import and export parameters. So you can just say export per exporting. And what was the parameter name that you can pass over here? The parameter name is IT custody. And you can create an table LT input, and you can say importing, and whatever is the output of the procedure you can say ET custody entry, and you can say ET tab. That is what procedure returns back to you. Okay, that's it, guys. Done. We are done. Let's create these tables. Now these tables SAP creates automatically an interface also for you. Here is the interface name in which the table types are created for you to use from. You see, these table types are created for you. So they are simple types. You can create a tables now using these simple types. Just go back, do that. LT input. So data LT input type table of your procedure interface name ZIF underscore ZProc underscore this interface name equals to greater than control space and internal table type, and now put your ET tab, type table of ZIF underscore ZProc, and then return table is ET custody. That's it, guys. Done. Put a breakpoint. I'm not sure whether it gives me some data, but that's how you call a procedure in system. Activate this. I'm going to debug and show you. We put a breakpoint, execute this baby, and let's see what it returns me. Finally, we can check the ET tab. If there is some data which this procedure is supposed to return you, it's going to give you the data, guys. As simple as that. How difficult it is to create a procedure proxy and call it. Can you tell me, is it so difficult to invoke a procedure proxy? Is it so difficult? Is it so difficult to call a HANA procedure? बच्चा भी कर देगा. इतने blogs हैं internet पे. You can watch out. So many blogs are there on internet for that. So many of them are there, guys. Okay. Let's look at this ET table. It's not returning, I think, anything in this ET table. I can right click and just add to watch. Let me see if I can do an add to watch here. I'm not sure. Yeah, set watch point, and yes, you see it's returning 0 records at the moment. You see it's returning 0 records at the moment. Actually, this procedure gives me data of customizing a customizing table, and if I maintain some entry into that customizing table, I'm sure I'm going to get some record. Let me just show you that table. Actually, I know this functionality. You need to good in functionality what you are working with. You need to be good in your area to really work out with things up. Okay, so let me just show you quickly. There's a there's a database maintenance view here in the system, in our ABAP on HANA system, which I can use to maintain some values. I can just do that. This is the maintenance view. I'm going to maintain some values. If it's empty, then I think that's what it is returning. I'm not sure still, but we got to check probably. Let me check that. I think that procedure which we called is actually returning entry from this table. That's what I'm suspecting, because as far as I know, EPM data model, that's what it does. Okay, so that procedure is just firing a DB, something DB, something in the DB that procedure is doing, and reading this particular DB table. Uh, okay, so I think that's what it is doing. Let's try that. Go to maintain. It's opening. I think first time we are opening it here, that's why it's taking time. In the meantime, I can also launch my server and show you guys that we can look at the data inside the system. Let me connect to my server, and just going to do that. I remember my password. Just give me a second. I'm trying to connect it, guys. Okay, I got connected to my remote server. Let me just try to log in with another laptop also, so that I can show you this data. So I probably maintain, okay, there are values here already into this. Maybe it's not returning anything out. So, but at least just understand the concept here, that we are trying to make a call to a procedure, and it has just created a proxy for it, and just making a call to it and returning this data out. Okay, as simple as that. However, now my system is up, so I'm just going to show you creating one procedure, but you guys don't create any procedure in the system in SAP ABAP 1 schema. Okay, don't do that. So just go to the system. Let me connect in, guys. Just give me a second. I'm connecting into the meeting with my another system, so I can demo you end-to-end scenario. Okay, good. I got to join this meeting, and I can present to you guys pretty easily a use case, creating a procedure inside of SAP HANA to you. Okay, great guys. I think I can share my screen now with you with another system I've connected. Okay, great. So let me share my screen, and I've successfully connected to the system. And now this is our HANA system. I am connected already. I just go to system. Let me create a very simple procedure now. Okay, I just go and do that. So I come here, I can create. Let me see if I do have rights to create a procedure. So I say create procedure, procedure name call ABAP, and I'm going to return an out parameter et tab, and I'm going to return just product ID, guys. ID as varchar of 30, comma price as integer. That's what I'm writing, and this is a table I'm going to return out. Clear? I'm returning a table out, and then this language SQL script, and then we can say default schema SAP ABAP 1, and say begin as reads SQL data, end. And I'm going to generate this in SAP ABAP 1 schema. Be careful, don't try this at home. Set schema. Let me see if am I allowed to do that. I'm not sure. At least am I allowed. And now what I'll do is I'll just say my et tab is equals to select product ID, comma price from snwd underscore pd table. Clear everybody? Very, very simple procedure. Let's execute this. Incorrect syntax near begin. So what is the problem? Create procedure call ABAP. What do you think, guys, is the problem? Let me just execute. I think there was a space missing. No. Okay. As begin, I think. As begin. Execute. Yes, procedure got created, guys, successfully. Call ABAP procedure got created here in my SAP ABAP 1 schema. And now we should be able to call that. Let me come back to my first laptop once again. Switch to my first laptop. There you go. Just connecting my mouse. And let's come back to my first laptop once again and share the screen with you, so that now I can show you calling this procedure, returning the products data. We are back to ADT. Let me just execute this guy here. Switch to ABAP perspective and make a call. What do you do now? Next step, guys. After you created a procedure, what do you do? Anybody? What do you do now? What do you do after you created a procedure? Create a proxy object, right? So let's create, and I say call ABAP procedure. Not sure if it lists here, and just search for call control space. I'm not sure whether it will list my procedure or not. Hopefully it should list. Oops, it's not listing. Call ABAP, did it listing? What was the procedure name? It was call ABAP procedure only, guys. It's not listing my procedure. It's not listing my procedure. There's some problem in the system. So the procedure which we created, it's not listed here. Ideally it should have listed the procedure. The procedure name which we created was call ABAP procedure. Ideally it should have listed. It's not listing. There is some problem. I'm not sure. But yet, if you have a ready-made procedure created inside of your system, definitely you can call it, guys. Definitely you can call it. Cal total or any procedure which we created. Cal total call ABAP. Nothing is listed here. Not sure why it's not listing up. Okay, it's giving exception as well. So ideally, the procedure which do exist in your DB are listed down here. You can see it's listing up everything. I'm wondering why it's not listing our procedure. That could be some issue with the server or some authorization issue that it's not allowing me to select procedures from schema. SAP ABAP schema other than some certain procedures. Could be an authorization restriction, but yet you know the concept of now calling the procedure from procedure proxy. So it's not at all difficult, as simple as that. This code also I will upload it, guys, into our blog, and you guys can go ahead and try. Can you change the interface and then search which interface you want to change? No, interface is not a problem actually. Interface is not at all a problem. Procedure is pretty much active and up and running. So interface is not a problem. It's completely fine. Okay, let's close this topic over here. So you know now how to call procedure using procedure proxy using ABAP. Yeah, so that's how you can generate any procedure and make a call to it. Refresh and try. I don't think so it's possible. It's not listing. I have some authorization issue. It's not listing up my procedure over here. Okay, it's not listing up, guys. There is an authorization issues. Okay, I'll check it. Maybe ideally it should have been available, but we can check that later on. But calling, you would have understood now how to call a procedure from ABAP using procedure proxy. Clear? So with that, it's a wrap on today's class. Please note that next 2 weekends there's no session. I will also upload 2 CDS chapters in the blog. To save your time, you can go through it. If you are really in need of CDS, you can go through that. Our next topic is going to be user defined functions in SQL script. With that, we will close the SQL script. We will also create our OIA scenario finally in SQL script, and then we will move on to creating an ABAP managed data procedure, AMDP. Because if you're already on 7.4 SP5, you will never use this bottom up approach. You will always use top down approach, which is AMDP we will use, guys. Okay, so we will be using AMDP. And yeah, I will share this code with you, how to create random sales orders in SAP HANA. I'll share it with you, don't worry. So this complete code I will share with you, and I'm going to share it as a completely different project, guys. Okay, so I'm going to share this code as a project. So this guy what you see here will be coming as a ABAP schema project will come. Okay, this whole project I will share with you. So you see some DB table creation and stuff like that. Or maybe I'll just share this function code, procedure code, and sequence code. These three I will share with you. You can adapt based on your need. Okay, with that, it's a wrap. Thank you so much for staying back, extending it more, and supporting me for extension. This helps me a lot to maximize the coverage of the code and showcase you things which I wish to showcase. Thank you so much for your support on that. In the next weekend, we will meet and we will sorry, next weekend we will meet. I really needed a break, guys. It's been 2.5 years. I was completely into the game of training, relentlessly working day and night. I really want a break. So that's the reason I planned my vacation. Unfortunately, it's in middle of your batch. Unfortunately, for me at least, I could plan after a long time. Thank you so much. I'll go for vacation, come back with an energy, and I promise a lot of new topics are waiting for us around the corner towards the end of this close. Thank you so much. Goodbye. See you after. Bye.